Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 2, Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 1239, The Choice of Chan Hai Guanwu. 12th of Volume 2. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Shouldn't we at least test the waters? Li Ling, devoid of the coldness and ruthlessness she had displayed when killing the Earthwolf King's army soldiers in Burial Immortal Town, continued, to join the Kandli tribe, one must have a clean background and impeccable character. Don't be angry, okay? I haven't even touched any of your spiritual artifacts, have I? If I had attacked you while pretending to be unconscious earlier, you wouldn't have had much defense, would you? So, when it comes to friends who have shared life and death with me, my character is still pretty decent. By the way, why did you save me just now? Why did you drag me ashore? Do you like me? Li Wai remained silent and quickened his pace. He sensed something amiss about Li Ling, an indescribable familiarity that he couldn't quite place. Yet her cultivation was too high to probe, so he simply wanted to keep his distance. Don't go. You haven't answered me yet. Only those with Li people's bloodline can safely traverse the Death Spirit's mist domain. It's extremely dangerous for you to venture in alone, Li Ling called after him. Li Wai had heard Zhao Zhijuo mention this, but he had a compelling reason to return to the Blood Sea, no matter the danger. If he didn't return, everyone on the bronze ship would be doomed. Li Ling jogged to catch up with him. To be honest with you. After getting hit by the flying needle, when I charged into the abandoned mansion where you were hiding, I did intend to drag you onto the same sinking ship. But my analysis in Burial Immortal Town was correct, wasn't it? In that situation, the two of us, together we live, divided we die. It doesn't matter anymore. Li Wai deliberately turned his back to her, testing whether she was truly uninterested in the spiritual artifact. She didn't attack, leaving Li Wai deeply puzzled. He couldn't fathom her motive for chasing after him. Li Ling, barefoot and stepping on sharp stones and thorns, stayed close to Li Wei's right side. In Burial Immortal Town, you should know anyone in my situation would have made the same choice. Besides, at the time, I only saw you as a thief who had deceived my brother and was up to no good. Now it's different. You're actually a pretty decent person. How about we become friends? I'll look out for you in the Kandli tribe. If we face a similar situation again, I'll let you go first and stay behind to cover your retreat. Li Wai stopped and stared at her. Li Ling blinked her bright, lively eyes, her eyelashes fluttering. You pulled me ashore and saved the Kandli tribe. Your character is definitely beyond reproach. With your current 5 springs cultivation, I can help you secure a respectable position in Julie City and arrange a marriage with a beautiful woman. I have a cousin who will turn 16 in 8 days. Come with me to her coming of age ceremony and see if you two hit it off. You could also study at the Kandli Tribe Academy, but getting into the Zhu Dao Academy would be quite difficult. Miss Li, please stop following me. I appreciate your kindness, but I still prefer your aloof demeanor. Perhaps you should revert to that. Li Wai couldn't tell how much of her words were genuine and how much was pretense. He secretly resolved that once he reunited with his senior brother and the others, he would absolutely avoid the Kandli tribe. The memory of Li Ling staring at him from the eaves, her casual slaughter of people, made her seem utterly unreal to him now. As for Xuanhuan, he was a pure immortal physique. The Kandli tribe wouldn't mistreat him. Li Ling asked, are you heading to the Blood Sea Coffin Dock? Are your companions there? And those spiritual artifacts? Did you obtain them all from opening blind coffins? Swish. Li Wai channeled his spiritual power and shot forward at lightning speed. So impatient already. Blue mist light traces swirled around Li Ling's feet as she accelerated, pursuing him even faster. Li Wai chased after Li Ling, the two of them racing dozens of miles through the forest. As Li Wai slowed down, he noticed something unsettling. Numerous motionless humanoid figures had appeared in the mist, standing silently and turning their heads to stare at him. They showed no signs of life. Some stood by the riverbank, others among the bushes. The scene was utterly terrifying, sending a chill down Li Wei's spine. Don't wander off again, Li Ling said, reaching out to grab his arm. If you go any further, I can't guarantee I can bring you back. Li Wai looked puzzled. Aren't you supposed to follow the Shui River to reach the Blood Sea to retrieve the coffin? Li Ling smiled, pleased that Li Wai had finally calmed down and was speaking to her rationally after hitting a dead end. It's not that simple. The Death Spirit's mist domain may only be 200 miles wide, but it's one of the most dangerous forbidden zones in the Lingxiao habitat. Its internal space is chaotic and constantly shifting. Following the Shui River won't lead you to the Blood Sea, it will only take you to the even more perilous Netherrealm of the dead. Among the Zhu Li clan, only the disciples of the 9 priests, no more than 100 Netherlight guides in total, know the path through the Death Spirit's mist domain. You? Li Wai asked. Yes. Li Ling nodded proudly. Every year, many people get lost in the Death Spirit's mist domain and the Netherrealm of the dead. Yesterday, we encountered 2 female wanderers who lost their way. One of them even possessed a pure immortal physique. What did they look like? Li Wei asked urgently. Li Ling replied, pure immortal physiques, of course they're as beautiful as celestial immortals. But like Xuanhuan, they show no trace of cultivation. The other one wears red robes and has a white bone wind chime at her waist. Where are they? Li Wei asked. Li Ling had been closely observing Li Wei's expression, and she smiled knowingly. I suspected those two demonesses who had completely infatuated my brother were with you. With just one test, and it was confirmed. You must have obtained some extraordinary treasure, right? Otherwise, why would two people in a row undergo the pure immortal physique transformation? Li Wei realized Li Ling's true motive for catching up to them. He tested the waters, saying, you're not a pure immortal physique, are you? I can sense that while your skin is flawless and you have an immortal spirit shell, there's a fundamental difference between you and the young clan leader and Xuanhuan. Though I can't quite pinpoint the difference. Li Ling was stung by Li Wei's words. After a long moment of hesitation, she said bitterly, I'm only a half-immortal physique. I failed to complete the full transformation. The fundamental difference between a half-immortal physique and a pure immortal physique lies in the bones. I have only flesh and skin, but no immortal bones. Li Wei thought that if she drank golden crow blood, she would likely transform into a pure immortal physique. But did she truly consider him a friend, bound by a bond of life and death? Until he could see through her, Li Wei couldn't treat her like a friend. Li Ling said sincerely, I'll take you to the edge of the blood sea. Without my help, you won't make it. See those death spirits? They're the weakest, almost harmless. But if you encounter blood-colored vicious souls or a malevolent demon like the thousand-headed dragon vine, your chances of survival are slim. What's the condition? Li Wei asked. Li Ling replied, no conditions. I only ask that you let go of your resentment. Consider this my way of repaying the debt I owe you in Burial Immortal Town. Li Wei was skeptical. Fine. If you get me to the Blood Sea, we'll wipe the slate clean. Xie Jin keeps his word. Which way do we go? Li Ling suddenly sat on a moss-covered stone, clutching her abdomen wound. I'm too badly injured. I don't think I can walk anymore. Li Wei carried Li Ling through the mist domain on his back. Li Ling's figure was slender, yet she felt incredibly heavy. Moreover, you weren't even hit by the flying needle. Li Wei couldn't feel any stiffness in her body, only softness and elasticity, whether through her hands or her back. Li Ling held the nether lantern in one hand and wrapped the other around Li Wei's neck, her voice clear and melodious, yet tinged with a lazy comfort. I was hit. But I carry a secret medicine. After I take it, the stone toxin will be neutralized. Do you ever tell the truth? Li Wei asked. Li Ling replied, Master always said that girls traveling alone must learn to protect themselves. Speak only 7/10 of the truth to others and give only 3/10 of your heart to someone when you're in love. The Netherlight guide was indeed skilled. The path they took was winding and circuitous, sometimes requiring long detours. Yet throughout the journey, they encountered no danger. Just as Li Wei was about to lose his sense of direction, he faintly heard the sound of waves. Quickening the pace, he soon emerged from the mist forest, and his vision instantly widened. Reaching the shore, a stench of blood and decay attacked his senses. The blood-red ocean was covered in countless coffins, large and small, piled up like mountains. The shore was littered with paper money, empty coffins, and shattered bones. In the distance, a vast, gloomy mist obscured the horizon, making it impossible to see the boundary between sea and sky, let alone the bronze ship. About 100 feet to the right stood an ancient, dilapidated ferry dock. The stone archway, carved with dragons, still stood tall. A long, straight stone-paved causeway extended from the dock into the deep sea, disappearing into the mist. Li Wei set Li Ling down, a surge of joy welling up within him. He was about to see his senior brother and the others again. Senior brother was practically the only family he had left in the world. But at the same time, an urgent desire to become stronger ignited within him. How would they survive after picking up the research team members? If they went to the Kandli tribe, he felt Li Ling would hold him firmly in her grasp, a humiliating dependence. If he were already at the Seven Springs level, or even beyond, breaking through the Wind Mansion and Ancestral Field, not only would Li Ling be unable to control him, but even the elders of the Kandli tribe would likely seek to recruit him, treating him like they treated Xuanhuan. Whoosh! Li Wei charged toward the ferry dock, stepped onto the causeway, and raced toward the deep sea. Xie Jin, are you trying to die? She immediately lowered her voice, daring not to speak loudly. She stopped abruptly at the edge of the dock. Whenever the tribe came to the Blood Sea coffin dock to retrieve coffins, they had to scatter paper money, light incense and candles, and offer sacrifices. Not a single ritual could be skipped. Most importantly, they mustn't raise their voices or step onto the causeway or venture into the Blood Sea. The elders of her clan had warned her. Any otherworld coffin that drifted into the Blood Sea coffin dock was either malevolent or extraordinary, and almost all were abnormal. The slightest misstep could awaken something they couldn't afford to provoke. Li Ling had heard countless tales about the Blood Sea coffin dock. Watching Li Wei vanish into the mist, she dared not pursue him and asked, "Senior, should we chase?" Whoosh! A searing heat erupted across Li Ling's back, accompanied by a surge of blood mist. A nearly jade-like white bone demon emerged from her body. Chanhai Guanwu's long hair danced in the wind, and a hint of flesh had begun to grow on her bones. Gazing at the gloomy, gray coffin sea, she sighed, "Forget it." Li Ling's blood qi was severely depleted, leaving her pale and weak. "This junior doesn't understand," she said, "you had such a perfect opportunity just now, yet you didn't strike." "Because I hesitated." Chanhai Guanwu couldn't explain further. Forcibly seizing Li Wei's blood and soul to complete the Yang marriage ritual would have given her the upper hand in their relationship, as if he were marrying into her clan. This was the outcome she desired most. But if she did that, and Li Wei surpassed her in cultivation later, the backlash would be terrifying. But how could she lower herself to beg Li Wei, to ask him to sacrifice a large portion of his blood and soul to complete the Yang marriage ritual? She simply couldn't overcome that mental barrier. The so-called Yang marriage was a unique bloodline energy of the ancient clan. It allowed the deceased to return to the mortal realm through marriage, living a second life and walking the path of cultivation anew. The price: becoming the wife or husband of a descendant of the ancient clan. Before the ritual was complete, the deceased's will took precedence. Therefore, Chanhai Guanwu could force the Yang marriage ritual to completion, but Li Wei couldn't. On the bronze ship, in the tomb, she had forcibly implanted a wisp of her soul into Li Wei's brow, but the ritual was only half finished when he broke free and escaped. Similarly, the guardian wife and guardian husband sought by the ancient clan's descendants in their infancy could only be chosen based on the guardian wife's or guardian husband's will. But once the ritual was complete, the descendant of the ancient clan gained far greater power. For instance, if the ancient clan descendant died, the Yang marriage partner would inevitably perish. But if the Yang marriage partner fell, it would have little impact on the ancient clan descendant. Another example, the Yang marriage partner must remain within a certain radius of the ancient clan descendant. The distance they could travel would only increase as their cultivation levels rose. Reversing life and death naturally comes at a steep price. Chanhai Guanwu harbored the ambition to defy mortality and reach the pinnacle of cultivation. However, being constrained by Li Wei clashed with her inner pride and ambition. "Perhaps I could try making friends with him first to see if he's truly trustworthy. When the time is right, I'll have a heart-to-heart conversation with him." Being nominal husband and wife while remaining true friends or allies in reality might be a better way to help each other. Chanhai Guanwu thought of a compromise. So far, Li Wei had left a favorable impression. In Li Wei's eyes, she was already labeled a white bone demon. Once that prejudice took root, genuine friendship would be impossible. She needed a new identity, which was one reason she chose Li Ling as her vessel. As for Qi Shanshan, Chanhai Guanwu had left a wisp of her soul to unlock her linguistic wisdom, ensuring no flaws would be revealed. Thump, thump, thump. Sudden, rapid footsteps echoed through the forest. Moments later, three figures emerged at the edge of the Blood Sea. Leading the way was Yan Qingqing, who had used her unparalleled sense of smell to track Li Wei and Li Ling's path and find this place. Shi Zhoujai had issued a death order, leaving them no choice but to venture into the Death Spirit's mist domain, no matter how dangerous it might be. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 1340 The Will of the Master of the Bronze Ship. 13th of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei glanced back anxiously, confirming that Li Ling hadn't pursued him before slightly relaxing. The bronze warship, the golden crow's corpse, and the black dragon's corpse were all treasures. If she learned about them, she might mobilize the entire Kandli tribe and the Zhu Li tribe's elite warriors. Yet he also felt a subtle unease and suspicion. Why didn't Li Ling dare to pursue him? She dared to traverse the terrifying death mist domain. She couldn't be judged by the standards of an ordinary teenage girl. Only forward, no retreat. Why overthink it? I haven't encountered any danger in this sea of coffins. Li Wei leapt off the plankway and plunged into the endless land of floating coffins. The stench of blood and decay grew thicker. He landed at a different location than the coffin dock crossing, so he could only roughly determine the bronze warship's direction. Moreover, unlike Li Ling, he wasn't intimidated by the Blood Sea coffin dock. He found it eerily quiet and peaceful, despite its terrifying appearance. After charging dozens of miles into the fog, Li Wei began shouting the names of Zhao Meng and Lao Lu, Lu Bing. He constantly changed direction and position, continuing to call out. Half a day later, Li Wei had no idea how far he had drifted from the shore. Each shout went unanswered, and his confidence dwindled. He grew increasingly worried that the bronze warship had already set sail again, heading for even more distant lands. If that were true, what would happen to the research team on board, who were already running low on food and water? What would happen to senior brother? Another half-day passed, and Li Wei estimated he had drifted nearly 200 miles from the shore. Endless floating coffins drifted through the thick, oppressive fog. He felt the entire world had become deathly still. He was the only living thing left, and an unprecedented panic seized him. His mind raced with chaotic thoughts, leaving him utterly bewildered. The bronze warship might really have sailed away. In the distance, through the swirling fog, a familiar voice called out, "Wei, is that you?" "Brother Wei, it's Shencang." Li Wei, who had been resting on a 4-meter-long jade coffin, was instantly invigorated. He rushed toward the source of the sound at top speed. Before long, the floating coffin began to shake violently on the water's surface. A massive figure emerged from the mist. The figure's body was as tall as a 2-story building, its head as large as a water vat, its mouth as wide as a plate, and its legs thicker than Li Wei's entire body, radiating explosive power. Covered in a full beard and wearing only a patched-up pair of oversized shorts, the figure strode forward with imposing presence. In his left hand, he held a white yin banner, which he shook, causing scriptures to rise and fall, casting a radiant glow that spread dozens of meters. In his right palm, he cradled an old, worn blue and white jar, resembling a bone urn. Ha ha ha. The reunion of the senior and junior brothers was filled with joy. They stopped about 3 meters apart. Zhao Meng's laughter boomed like thunder, his voice incredibly loud. Li Wei was stunned. He had to crane his neck to see Zhao Meng's face, his expression a mix of delight and disbelief. "Senior brother. What's going on? How did you grow so tall? This is just the beginning. Who knows how much taller I might get in the future? I'm following a path of continuously consuming the blood of ancient immortal giant beasts. My constitution is quite extraordinary, you know." Zhao Meng stood 6 meters tall, his skin a golden hue. Black dragon scales partially covered his arms, and he carried numerous bottles and jars on his back. The yin banner in his hand was over 3 meters long, topped with 9 ruby-eyed skull heads. Each skull's mouth spewed a white streamer covered in incomprehensible scriptures. Li Wei had seen this yin banner before in the graveyard sea of Stells on the bronze warship, planted atop a tomb mound. How did senior brother activate it? Senior brother, you've cultivated spiritual power. Does that mean you've opened your spring's acupoint? Li Wei had already explained his method of opening the spring's acupoint to Zhao Meng on the bronze warship. Zhao Meng had also practiced the jade void breathing technique for years, so it wasn't surprising that he could open his spring's acupoint in a short time. Opening a spring acupoint isn't that easy. Do you think everyone has your talent? Master said my talent is only up to your knee. Zhao Meng glanced at the yin banner in his hand, sensing Li Wei's confusion. He explained, "It's glowing, but it has nothing to do with me." "Did you find land? Where's Gao Huan?" "Of course we did, but it's a long story." Hearing a commotion, Li Wei turned his gaze behind Zhao Meng. Shencang, holding a spirit tablet a foot tall in both hands, emerged from the mist, followed by Lao Lu and Lao Guan carrying a stone coffin. Lao Lu and Lao Guan were both members of the engineering team, but Li Wei could no longer recognize them. One had drunk golden crow blood and sprouted a massive bird's head. The other had drunk black dragon blood and grown a dragon's head covered in black scales. 2 aberrant humanoids. Li Wei saw no one else approaching. "Where are the others?" he asked, puzzled. "They're all on the ship. It's already left." Zhao Meng looked relaxed, showing no concern for their safety. He sat down and began to recount in detail everything that had happened on the bronze ship over the past 2 days. Li Wei listened intently, his mind filled with curiosity. Halfway through, he interrupted, "Did the master of the bronze warship appeared?" "Not really. I didn't see his true form. But after the golden crow blood and black dragon blood were purified by immortal radiance energy, anyone could drink them. Just 1 drop would keep you full for days and greatly enhance your physical strength. The scientific expedition team won't starve. They're following the master of the bronze warship, and they might become extraordinary beings in the future." The master of the bronze ship was a mystery, and the unknown. Zhao Meng's expression suddenly turned serious, but it's not all good news. He has issued a decree, ordering the master of the Dao ancestors Tai Chi fish, that is, you, to reach the immortal realm as soon as possible. There's something you must do, and his time is running out. Li Wei was stunned, then couldn't help but laugh. "What do you mean?" Zhao Meng explained, "It seems our sect made a promise to him long ago, planting a cause and effect that the master of the Dao ancestors Tai Chi fish must now bear and fulfill. I don't know the specific details, but once you reach the immortal realm, he will come for you. Then you'll find out. If things get too difficult, we brothers will face it together." "I don't even know what the immortal realm is," Li Wei said with a chuckle. A hoarse, ancient voice spoke, "The surging spring realm, 5 seas realm, Dao seed realm. The next 4th major realm is the immortal realm. Young one, consider yourself fortunate to have cause and effect ties with the master of the bronze warship, to serve him, and to have us 3 sent as your guides. The opportunities and treatment you've received would make countless others envious. Zhao Meng had studied the language and writing of this world with his eldest senior sister, making him slightly more familiar with them than Li Wei. Thus, he understood the meaning of the ancient voice. He nodded frantically, even he felt the master of the bronze warship was a being of immense power. Serving him meant having a powerful backer in this world. Even though this backer had just awakened, seemed to have urgent matters to attend to, and might not even notice their insignificant presence, Zhao Meng felt as if a great tree was sheltering him. Li Wei searched for a long time before realizing the ancient voice was coming from the blue and white bone urn Zhao Meng held. He turned to Zhao Meng and whispered, "Another evil spirit. By order of the master of the bronze warship, I shall be your guide on the path of martial mystic cultivation from now on." The lid of the bone urn jumped, and the voice echoed. From the spirit tablet Shencang held, a middle-aged woman's voice spoke, "I am your guide on the path of spiritual cultivation." Within the stone coffin carried by Lao Lu and Lao Guan, a deep, restrained voice resonated, "I am more versatile, dabbling in many things. I will be responsible for planning your cultivation path. 2 years to the Surging Spring Realm, 3 years to the Five Seas Realm, 5 years to the Dao Seed Realm, and within 10 years, you must reach the Immortal Realm. 10 years, you have only 10 years. You can treat this as a decree from the master of the bronze warship, or as a trade. But whatever you do, don't ignore it. Because in 10 years, or perhaps a little longer, what is about to happen will affect you and those around you." Li Wei touched the Dao ancestor's Tai Chi fish with his finger, and a flood of thoughts surged through his mind. His expression gradually turned serious as he realized that his senior brother, the master of the bronze warship, and these three sinister figures were not joking. Furthermore, it seemed there was no way to refuse or evade this. He was indeed still ignorant and confused about cultivation, with far too many unknown mysteries. If renowned masters were willing to guide him, he would naturally welcome it. But he had so many questions swirling in his mind. Li Wei clasped his hands in a respectful bow and asked, "May I ask how the three seniors should be addressed?" The old man in the jar replied, "The three of us were once renowned figures on this land. But now, I'm just a jar of ashes. The couple here, one is merely a remnant soul inhabiting a spirit tablet, the other a decaying corpse. If not for the master of the bronze warship, we wouldn't even have retained this last flicker of consciousness. So, in this wretched state, there's no point in dwelling on the past." The middle-aged woman in the spirit tablet agreed, saying, "I concur." "Agreed," came a voice from within the stone coffin. The old man in the jar added, "Just call me Senior Jar. Senior Spiritual Tablet. Senior Coffin." All three introduced themselves. So casual and down to earth. Completely different from Chanhai Guanwu and Yutuonan. Perhaps this is the will of the master of the bronze warship. Li Wei's gaze swept across the blue and white bone urn, the spirit tablet, and the stone coffin before he asked directly, "Do you three seniors know the cause and effect karmic connection between the Chan sect and the master of the bronze warship? Why must I reach the immortal realm as quickly as possible? And why do I only have 10 years? I've heard that even top-tier cultivators need a decade just to open 4 springs. How many springs have you opened so far?" Senior Jar asked. 3, Li Wei replied. "How long did it take you?" "Less than half a month." "Then what's the problem? Forget about top-tier or low-tier talent. You're different. You're the one the master of the bronze warship chose," Senior Jar said. The voice of Senior Coffin from within the stone coffin remained calm and steady. "No, I disagree with him. Li Wei, you are not the person the master of the bronze warship has chosen. You can only be yourself. Only by understanding what you truly desire and what you truly seek can cultivators gradually forge an unwavering Tao heart throughout the long journey of cultivation. Therefore, what cause and effect karma is actually not important to you right now." Li Wei fell into deep thought. Senior Coffin continued, "Let me ask you 2 questions. What are you pursuing at this stage? What do you want? There's no need to rush your answer. Let's return to the Lingxiao habitat first." Li Wei's lips moved, but he ultimately remained silent, wanting to think things through first. The group began walking toward the shore. Zhao Meng was also pondering the 2 questions, but he remained relaxed. "For now, all I want is to find eldest senior sister. She must be in this world." After half an hour later, Li Wei emerged from his contemplation, remembering that Li Ling might still be at the coffin dock crossing and that Shi Zhoujai and his disciples might be blocking the dragon-slaying waterfall gorge. "Since the 3 of you know about the Lingxiao habitat, you must have been from here in your previous lives, right? Do you know of any other paths back besides the Death Mist domain at the coffin dock crossing?" Li Wei asked. Senior Jar, ever the lively one, chuckled, "You've asked the right person. No one knows the Blood Sea Coffin Dock and the Death Mist domain better than Senior Coffin. He was once a member of the Zhu Li." "Shut up." The voice from the stone coffin cut him off. "Are there any dangers at the coffin dock?" "It is hard to say, but we should avoid it if possible," Li Wei replied. The voice from the stone coffin continued, "There is another path, but it's a detour. I will use the 9 Emperors banner to guide us. The one holding the banner, take the lead." The Nine Emperors banner was the white yin banner Zhaomeng held. The ruby eyes of its 9 skull heads provided it with a secret power akin to spiritual power. The sutras and light emanating from the banner pointed the way forward. They had been walking quickly, but the shore remained distant. As darkness fell completely, they still hadn't reached land. Finding a stable area of floating coffins sheltered from the wind by a giant coffin, they decided to rest for the night. Following Senior Coffin's instructions, Zhaomeng planted the white yin banner between 2 coffins. This banner could suppress spirits, and the spirits dared not approach the area bathed in its light. It had been Senior Coffin's treasure in his life. Li Wei took food from the evil camel bell and distributed it among the group. Just as they finished eating. Boom. Boom. The blue and white bone urn leapt from the corner. It's time to cultivate. Everyone, together. Li Wei, stop dwelling on old Coffin's pointless questions about profound and ethereal concepts. Reality is what truly matters. You must open your 4th spring acupoint as soon as possible. We're all relying on you to protect us now. Don't let some random person who's opened 5 or 6 acupoints come along and wipe us all out, making our pursuit of the immortal realm pointless. Li Wei replied, Senior, opening springs acupoints isn't something you can just do on a whim. It's a gradual process. Nonsense. Senior Jar retorted, with the vigorous blood energy of Golden Crow blood, your Chan sect's supreme breathing technique, and my guidance, opening the first 4 springs acupoints poses no danger. With your bloodline and innate talent, you should be able to break through them with ease. However, the 5th spring acupoint carries some risk. You'll need to obtain an spring acupoint opening needle from a major city in the province to open it quickly. Senior Jar was an impatient type. He immediately began guiding Li Wei in forcefully opening the 4th spring acupoint in the palm of his left hand. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.